Who Watches the Rewatchers, a Buffy rewatch podcast.
Hey, Alan, do you know how to embarrass your two daughters?
Okay. I know how to embarrass my daughter, but I can't wait to hear how you embarrass your two daughters.
Well, Alan, over the last week, 2 weeks actually, my kids
Yeah.
have caught me watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and now I'm happy to tell you all three of them are watching with me, and they're like wanting to watch more. So we've been watching episodes
Really?
of Buffy. Yes, we have.
Okay.
And for this week's episode, Go Fish, my kids were watching with me, and my two daughters saw that one pan up shot of Xander in a Speedo from his ankles
Yes.
on up. And I looked over and they were hiding underneath their blankets. If you can handle an eye full of Nikki Brendan, Xander, you might be listening to Who Watches the Rewatchers, Buffy rewatch podcast. I'm Jarrod. Right. That's Alan. We are in season 2, episode 20, Go Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I watched this one with them, and they were like many times. This is like my second daughter who's 10. This is her first episode that she sat down. Like she just got sucked in, and she was just so curious about everything. That she's now watched other episodes, but I thought as I'm introducing her to the show that this is not the best entrance into the world of Buffy. I don't think.
No.
It is. Would you call it a monster of the week? We have Angel in it and stuff, but would you call this a monster of the week?
Oh yeah, this is definitely a monster of the week, and I'm going to go on record right now as saying, one of my least favorite eepisodes.
Yeah, I think when I listen back to these, I find that I'm a little too critical, even though I love the show. So I was trying not to be.
Well, totally. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Next 2 episodes we're going to gush over. Last episode I gushed over.
Yeah.
Actually, the next 3 episodes I'll probably gush over. But this one in particular, I think it's a little light on what normally makes Buffy Buffy.
Well, we watched the next 2 episodes last night, and so I've been rocking Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, right.
About Grace that ends like for all morning long with them. Let me point out to fans of television that there's an actor named Wentworth Miller who plays Gage, one of the swimmers in this episode.
Okay.
I saw him. I recognize him. He was in that show Prison Break. He was in a lot of other TV shows. It's a British actor.
Okay.
He's kind of got the buzzed cut, like the short closely cropped hair. And he ends up becoming the main swimmer that through the entire episode, because there's a couple swimmers, but he's the one that's from beginning to end. Looking him up, just interesting because I wanted to see what else he was in. And I was mostly interested by the fact that he's from a place in Oxfordshire, England called, let me make sure I have it right, Chipping Norton, Oxfordshire. When I saw that, that town made me smile because that's the place where Clarkson's farm is. So in this very moment, the universe of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is crossing paths with Clarkson's farm and Jeremy Clarkson. I don't know if anyone else in all the world would have pointed that out but me. So I had to take my unique.
I love it. Good.
Let's dive into the story. I think the story is, I don't know what metaphor you're going to point out about it, but I think the story has some strange and problematic sexual politics all the way throughout it.
It does. And actually, well, okay, we'll get there when we get there, but very quickly, I will say that not only does it have that stuff going on, I think that it tries to hang a lantern on that problematically and then sort of falls short of doing so,
100%. I agree with you 100%. And that's some of the criticism of it. But yeah, it begins in an odd way because they are at a nighttime victory party. Wait. Oh, go ahead.
Before we talk about the real actual intro, I want to say this one does have the prelude on the front of it.
I've been meaning to tell you that they are, I did notice that they are now intermittent. So
yeah. Okay, so I actually read today, I have not observed this myself, but I read today when I was doing a smidgen of research before we got online here, that this is the last time we see it.
Oh, nice. Okay. And next thing you know, I'm waiting for is for the change of font and for the to go from
Yeah.
So those are because these
Yeah,
are just little changes you note along the way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, cool. So this is the last time. I guess a moment of silence not needed, but farewell. Farewell, my old
Okay,
friend.
now we're on the beach. Talk to me about the beach.
Yeah, well, it's just a strange way to begin a Buffy episode because they're at usually these cold opens. Well, not usually. At nighttime, they're often having to do with patrol or bedtime. Here
Yeah.
they are at a nighttime victory party on a beach. It felt very Karate Kid to me.
Yes.
The bunch of teenagers are out on the beach with the campfire. Right away, you see someone getting sort of bullied. Their head is being dunked underwater, and for the close observing fan, you'll remember that this is Jonathan, who's been introduced very briefly, played by Danny Strong, and he's going to be throughout Buffy. I think he gets another kind of glimpse in this episode. Yes, he does. And
He does.
yeah, so there some people are sort of bullying the shorter guy, and you find out what they're doing is that they are celebrating the victory of the swim team, something that I'm not sure any group of high school kids has ever done. They're celebrating sort of like the football team won a big, state match or something like that.
Sure. And the way that they put a Band-Aid on the idea that normally no one cares about the swim team is for Cordelia to have this line about how it's about time that some athletic team at Sunnydale is winning. Or I forget exactly how she references it, but something to the effect of it's about time we're number one at something. And Willow says, well, you're forgetting about our high mortality rate.
Right.
Number one at that. Right. Yeah.
Very, very funny line. Yeah. So there they are. They're hanging out. And there's this guy, I call him the red shirt of the week in these early seasons. His name is Cameron Walker. And he's one of the swimmers. And he's, he's trying to hit on Buffy a little bit. She seems game. She seems game to talk to him. But when that's going on, that's when the Jonathan character is being dunked, and I believe Buffy steps in to save the day, which there's a lot early on, especially with Xander, about Buffy saving the day against a boy getting bullied, and they're not too happy that a young woman is saving them.
Right.
But, she shows some power amongst a bunch of alpha males and people partying. Yeah, so that's how we start off, right?
That's right.
And then that's when Gage comes over. That's that actor who I told you is from Chipping Norton, and he was in.
Oh yeah, sure.
Prison Break. Yeah, he comes over now, and so now we're starting to have these kind of these swimmer guys that are like a little pack. They're a team. You might call them a school. They're a school of swimmers, a school of fish, and they're hanging out together, and they're talking about, hey, let's go have a swim, which is the weirdest thing ever. Let's go have a night swim while everyone is partying here in our honor and behalf, right?
Yeah.
And there's like this interesting conversation that comes up as Buffy's talking with this other kid, and they like to go swimming against the current. It makes them stronger. That kid is sort of waxing poetic about swimming and the ocean and how it calls him, and he feels communing with it. And she goes, I just always thought of it as big and wet. Cracks me up.
Big and wet. Yeah,
reminds me of this one time I was hanging out with a group of friends, and my sister-in-law is single, and there was a guy in the community at the time who was basically interested, and he was hitting on her in front of all of us, and, sitting around, a little fire pit outside kind of thing. It was kind of a nice night, and he asked her, and he's a really deep guy, really intellectual, and he asked her if she liked poetry. My sister-in-law, who's really intelligent, but that's just not her area, right? Not her area of interest.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, nah, not really. He's like, well, why don't you? And he begins to press her on it. She's like, I just don't think, she's trying to be nice. She's like, I just don't think I understand it. It's just not my thing. And he's like, well, what if I explained it to you? And like at that moment, the other guys in the room, those are outside, and those who knew my sister were like, oh, dude, come on. And he actually like insists. He gets up and he goes to the car and he comes back. And he opens the poetry and begins to read it to her, and he begins to explain it to her. And I believe he even lit up a cigarette at this time, like kind of like an intellectual kind of thing. Like, it was like, Oh my gosh, that's how this scene made me feel, as he is
Yeah.
to go on and on about something. He's trying to be deep and beautiful, and she's just like, yeah, sure, I guess, whatever you
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, man. So anyway, that's I just wanted to share that little.
I think you're exactly right. Okay, I've got a couple reactions to everything that you've been saying. Number one is Wentworth Miller. I didn't recognize him until you started talking about him, and then I actually paid attention to him. Um, the geeks in the room will recognize him as Captain Cold from The Flash.
Okay, let's back the train up. Comic book properties, IPs are obscene. They're all over the place. Are we talking
Yeah,
about the Flash that was like a WB-ish sort of TV show?
yeah. That's exactly right.
The one with the villain being the super charming guy from the 90s.
Yeah,
What's his name? I like him. He's always charming. He's always the same. Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you dig that show?
me, I really enjoyed the first season.
I mean, it's another one of these Smallville/Buffy
Yeah,
things, right? Like where they find a
yeah.
way to come up with all the bad guys. Yeah, that's what I thought about it.
Yeah, they developed a really strong mystery with the super charming guy you're talking about for the first season. That went really well. They had a really thoughtful like arc for that, and then from there, they felt to me it felt like they struggled to figure things out thereafter. But that guy who plays the Flash, I can't think of his name right now. Gu-
Grant Gustin. And,
Gustin.
and the guy I'm talking about is Tom Cavanaugh. I wanted to get it right because I could have called that up at any other moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy who plays the Flash, I think, did a spectacular job. Um, he he's done a bunch of other stuff with like musicals and things. Apparently, he's a
Um,
really good singer.
okay.
And actually, it was just announced the other day that what's his name, who's in charge of DC right now, creative, the guy who's making the Superman movie and made Guardians of the Galaxy. His name will pop into my head in just a moment, but it's not there right now. Um, he announced that actor will be the Flash in his cinematic universe,
Okay.
which was a big deal because you know there was like a huge fan uprising to try to get him there, and so for that dude to agree to it was actually something. But anyway, there you go. So getting back to Buffy. The next scene we cut to is
is
have
it
we talked
James
about
Gunn? But I'm bothered by
James
this.
Gunn? James Gunn
Yeah.
is exactly right. Thank you. James Gunn. Yeah, James Gunn's in charge of DC. He announced recently that Grant is going to be the Flash in his cinematic universe, and it has all of the people who are Grant fans a tizzy.
Okay.
So good for him and good for them. But yeah, that dude did a spectacular job as Captain Cold, and he was on a bunch of other of those WB kind of superhero shows as a result. Um, okay. Back to Buffy. I think that the scene on the beach ends with um, us seeing somebody, the leftover skin of one of the swimmers, and so it leads us to believe that something got him.
Yeah, well, what ends up happening is the guy in question, Gage, the Wentworth
Yep.
Miller guy. He doesn't like Buffy. He says Buffy, creeps him out, which I think is a very interesting thing for a
Hmm.
guy to say about a pretty gal in school. There's also a moment when she saves Jonathan. She sees this really creepy, cool, like 1950s sailor-ish tattoo,
Yeah.
and then when the guys walk off, you know, Gage stops and he's like, "Dude, what's the smell?" He turns around and there is this basically a suit of skin, and you can see that tattoo, knowing that it's the other swimmer, the guy who was
Yes.
bullied. Yeah, and yeah, so you're like, "What is this? What has eaten this person from the inside out?"
Hmm.
And then there's also
And
some motion towards a drain, like a storm drain.
yeah, that's right. It's to sort of hint as to where it may have gone.
Right.
Um, so then we get the credits, and then we cut to Willow teaching her computer class that she's been covering for Ginny Calendar.
Well, now hold on
And
a second. I just want to say, I think the whole red herring here is that you're supposed to
yeah,
think that there's a monster coming out of the sea and did
sure.
this. Right. Okay.
That's right. That's
So
exactly
yeah.
right. And I think we're going to talk about that in the library in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So Willow's teaching her class. She's trying to engage with one of the students who is on the swim team, and he's not doing any of the assignments. He's just playing solitaire with what are those cards that have like the women on the back of them that look like the women's silhouette from the bumper of the classless semis or something,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what any of that's called, but yeah, they got that kind of,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be sort of kind of bad boyish lewd, sort of,
Yeah. But all of that is made up for because we get a Principal Snyder scene.
Yes. Him and his little teeth.
Yeah, that's right. So he walks into the room and he basically lets Willow know that they can't find another teacher, so she's going to have to keep subbing. And then basically, when Willow tries to talk about problems she's having with the one student, he tells her that in as directly as he can without directly saying it, that what he expects her to do is to modify the swimmer's grade so that he can continue swimming.
This is like right in the same period of time when you have Varsity Blues, and movies like that are highlighting, the strange world of high school athletics and and coaches that bend the rules, break the rules, schools that turn an eye for elite athletes and whatnot. Yeah, but it's really funny, and it's really Joss Whedon-y because it's swimmers. It's not your stereotypical any of it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. That's exactly right. I think that somewhere in the middle of all of this, I should have said that the closest thing that we get to a metaphor in this particular episode is this business right here, which is this idea that again, with Buffy, we're always dealing with stuff that kids go through in high school. What's happening here is we are talking about how student athletes in high school have a different experience than normal non-athletic kids. And the normal non-athletic thing, I'll have to look that up, but I hear it phrased that way a lot in academia.
Well, I feel like what comes through, I feel like what's intended by the show
Yeah.
is a commentary about drugs, and
Yes.
I feel like what really comes through is some really maybe era driven. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. Critical theorist, but era driven conclusions about sex and about gender.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, I think that that's all on the what you end up having to talk about when you're talking about the difference between the elites and I just looked this up. They refer to them as NARPs. A NARP is a non-athletic regular person.
Sorry, man. I'd never heard that before in my life, but that's delicious. That's wonderful that they have. There's NARPs and LARPs, man. We got a whole crew of people. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Cordelia can sketch a little bit, right? She draws the picture that Xander saw. It says he saw. There's some theorizing there in the library that some of these other swimmers might be the next, target.
That's right.
You just have this notion that they are a pack. They swim together. They swim in the ocean. That was near the ocean. Maybe it's one of those guys. And so Buffy starts looking after this Gage guy, letting us know that he's kind of someone to keep a focus on. And later that night, notices he's following him at the bronze. He confronts her about it. And she doesn't mince words. You're in danger, but he doesn't believe that. Only to then be attacked by Angel in the parking lot, which is sort of strange. I think I'm skipping here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm skipping the entire bit where she goes out with the perceived head swimmer guy, the guy who was waxing thick about.
Yeah. So let's back up and talk through that one real fast, and then we'll talk about what Angel experiences in the moment you're describing. So she's in the car with the head swimmer guy, and he is waxing philosophic, and she is clearly
bored,
out of her mind, right?
Bored, he's not even being really interesting for real. He's just being self-indulgent, which is
And so when she tries to get away from him and say, hey, it was great hanging out with you, see you around, he basically goes in for trying to to make out with her or something. And she you know,
pushes him
reacts.
off,
Yeah.
and he gets a
Basic.
bloody nose, right? I mean, like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and good on Buffy for standing up for herself, but unfortunately, Principal Snyder sees this and believes that she is attacking this kid, you know, and Principal Snyder definitely wants to believe the worst of Buffy and has since day one. So this lands Buffy in the principal's office, and I guess the infirmary on the school campus.
Right, they're all together there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Snyder, it's the kid holding his broken nose, it's the nurse who looks like a 1950s nurse.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and the coach comes in, you hurt my swimmer. He's like walking around like the cock of the walk football coach in Texas, right?
Yeah.
But everybody's blaming Buffy. Snyder just thinks she's a bad egg, assumes the worst of her. The coach, the guy's like, "Hey, you were wanting it, right?" And the coach
Yeah.
is like, "Well, you dress like that. You should dress more respectfully." So we already have this
Right.
sort of like victim blaming sort of language. You know, it's Buffy's asking for it, right? And it's just deeply problematic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's icky. I mean, it's just icky to watch, but you're also knowing that, like, well, that sort of thing has happened a lot. And
Yeah, the specific thing the coach says is you should dress. I forget exactly what the word is, but then he says, "This isn't a dance club." That's the part that I wanted to highlight.
right. This isn't a dance club. That's right. And then here's what you're supposed to go do to take care of your broken nose is to go to the steam room, which
Right.
which clear out your sinuses. Which
Right.
I don't know of any high schools that have steam rooms, or they didn't when I was in high school, but apparently this is something that the swim team uses a lot, and that's going to help them out. And that's how we break from that bit. And I believe in, you know, from there we do go into the evening where Buffy's been following Gage around. And
There's actually one more bit that I want to mention because it's a funny line, and
okay,
at the very least, even though I'm being a little boo-hiss on this episode, there are some really good moments. And so there's a really good moment in this one library scene that I want to point out. They're trying to figure out, Buffy and the Scoobies are trying to figure out what would eat a human and leave the skin. And someone says, I think Buffy says something like, maybe it has high cholesterol, and
yeah,
nobody
check monsters
reacts.
with high cholesterol. And then
Yeah.
and Giles looks at her like she's being ridiculous. She's like, you're gonna laugh at that later, you know, like.
That's exactly right.
And I agree with her. I think it's a pretty good line, you know. All
Okay,
right.
so
Well,
so
I
so
have massively bitten off more than I should have. Ha ha ha! And gotten way far ahead. She's
no, it's
talking to
okay.
the Gage guy. It's sort of boring until he's confronted and attacked by Angelus, outside in
Uh-huh.
the parking lot. I found like this is sort of. By the way, I found like this was just sort of narratively off. Like, why then, after all of his plotting and planning, why now attack this guy in the front of this? I mean, it's just so
Yeah.
unlike everything else that they have Angel doing.
Yeah.
This whole I mean, but okay, so he attacks him, and they make a very, 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 you know, bald face point, put it right in your face to show that there's something wrong about his blood that Angel doesn't like. He spits it
Mhm.
out about 4 to 6 times.
Yeah.
Uh, and Angel, you know, Buffy comes out, and I did like when she begins to fight him, she pulls her like the thing in her hair that holds her hair
Yeah.
up. She pulls it out,
Yeah.
and it's a little stake, or it can function as a stake. It might be a
Mhm.
pencil, whatever, but it was pretty slick, I thought.
Yeah,
And
I did too. I did too.
you know, and he gets away. And I did notice as he's running away, the Angel's wearing leather pants, and he wears leather pants in the next 2 episodes. And I think that one thing they do have is Angelus probably wears leather pants where Angel maybe didn't. I'm not sure, but I definitely know that they're highlighting kind of this bad boy look with Angel.
Yes. Yes, they are. All right, there's one other bit that happens just before that that I want to point out, only again because it's funny. So Willow, but okay, before they see this moment where they now know that there's something wrong with the swimmer's blood. Um, they send Willow to like go interrogate Jonathan because they think that Jonathan may have. Oh, you can't hear me. You can't hear me. My end looks like it's good. Oh, I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. No.
Oh, there you are. You
There
just
you
came
are.
back. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So you said I heard you say that they didn't. There's something wrong with the blood.
Okay, yeah. Just before they figure out there's something wrong with the blood, they are trying to imagine who might have it in for swimmers. And the first person that comes to mind is Jonathan, who was being attacked by them on the beach. And
Right.
so Willow goes to interrogate Jonathan. And it's a very funny scene. I think it's the first interrogation scene I've seen from Willow's character. And she's trying to get the information out of Jonathan, and Jonathan is cracking. He's telling her everything. and then she sort of ends it with, and so you conjured up some beastie from a foul hell dimension or whatever. And um and he's like, no, I swam, I peed in the swimming pool. And she goes, oh like she's really grossed out by it. And this actually is the prelim for the scene that you're talking about, that you mentioned at the very, very beginning of this whole conversation, where Xander has decided that the best way for him to figure out what's going on with the swim team. Pardon me. The episode, the moment that you're talking about, where we figure out there's something wrong with Swimmer's blood, that happens after that. And then now that we know there's something going on with the swimmers, and Jonathan's not involved, we think that the swimmers have something involved with it. So Xander decides he's going to go undercover with the swim team to try to figure it out. And
You
that's
got
when
there.
that's
You
when he
got there.
lands with the speedo. So we should probably talk about that scene, because that one definitely scarred all of us.
All right, before we do, because something's popped back in my mind that I know that the listener just cannot wait for me to say, and that's this.
Yeah, go.
Early on, when Gage says that Buffy really weirds him out or makes him feel whatever, I find it playing into the entirety of this sexual politics that's happening in the show. Here's a strong woman. She's physical. She's dominant, right? And that weirds him out, grosses him out, intimidates him, scares him. And I wanted to point that out as well. Like, that's going on. Not quite certain at this point or up till now what is wrong with the blood, but it all plays together right here and now. They're sitting at swim practice. This is the girls, Buffy, Willow, and Cordelia, and they're talking about Angel and the spitting of the blood and all that stuff. And there's speculation that the swim team might be taking steroids, which is
Right.
That's where I'm going with all this. Is this taking
Yes.
a drug and the roid rage, and even making him more upset that a woman is strong, and make that could be the reason why. Apparently steroids repel vampires. They don't like it. But maybe there's another monster that likes steroids. And in that moment, you have this really slow, sort of seductively shot scene, which I'm sure this shot has got a name from filmmakers, but that's very like out of some like kind of just like historic like way of shooting an attractive woman walking onto a frame, where you start from the bottom and you slowly go up, which is, I mean, it's really suggestive. But in this case, it's not a woman, it's Xander, and you don't know that yet. You just see some legs, and then you see Speedo, and then you see his torso, and then you see Xander, and it's like, wah. But at the same time, Cordelia is like, now that's what I'm talking about. She's doing like most like Gawker sort of like male gaze, and then she's shocked that it's actually Xander, right? She's shocked that it's her boyfriend.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Okay. Two things here.
Well, we just trying everything to reverse the roles, right?
That's exactly right. Okay. Two things real quick. First of all, I don't know the name of the shot, but I'm pretty confident in this particular moment, it's a reference to the Blue Lagoon.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Because that's referenced in the movie, and pardon me, in the TV show. Like they're saying that this is like a monster. Cordelia says at some point that she thinks that this is like a monster from the Blue Lagoon. She's trying to say the Black Lagoon, because that's the classic fish monster Universal Pictures kind of thing. But she messes up the color and says Blue Lagoon, and so Xander has to correct her and say, "Oh no, the creature from the Blue Lagoon, that was Brooke Shields," and Brooke Shields when she was like 13 or 14 too, by the way.
I know that's the
yeah. And before we had rules about all of that for cinema. But so the other thing that's happening in this moment when they're watching the swim meet, I don't know if you caught this, but the three girls are watching the swim meet, and Buffy and Willow are eating popcorn while they're watching the swim meet.
Yeah, like it's sort of like
it's a spectator sport.
Yeah,
sure.
like there's cheerleaders at a wrestling match.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
yes.
no, it doesn't happen, right? Yeah. Yeah, I did notice that. Okay, so maybe that's where
yes,
got it from.
Definitely all definitely all the attempts at role reversal are happening here, and I think that it was a good attempt, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I definitely think, as we have said before, that any Nicholas Brendan kind of focused bit is hilarious, and they do that well. And so it's funny because then he walks over, and Cordelia is looking at her boyfriend after she thought she was gawking at some other guy. And Buffy has a funny line about, she has some sort of snarky line about how naked he is or whatever.
Yes.
And he's like, I just thought I'd go undercover. Like, he didn't talk about it with people in advance. He just did this, which totally lets you think that, he's got a little bit of jealousy and envy for the swim team guys and and all the love they're getting. So it's not just, purely driven by virtue here, But so that's all going on. And then do we go from here to a steam room with all the guys?
We do.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about that. What's going on in that steam room?
Xander's in the steam room with them, and we see some hands coming out of a grate in front of the steam room. Actually, for all the shade that I'm giving this particular episode, actually I've been pretty light on it. I think other than just stating up front what my real feelings were. There are a handful of funny bits in this, and there are a handful of well-crafted bits from a cinematography perspective. And this specific bit, I think, is pretty good because it's sort of a oneer, a very, very short oneer, where we see a wide shot of the boys in the steam room, and then the camera sort of creeps down, and we see this grate, and we see a close-up of these fingers coming out of the grate. It's very creepy and very well executed. And we're not going to get to the part just yet where Xander starts asking, "Hey, where are the drugs?" Because that's what he's going to do in the steam room,
right?
In a future scene. What actually happens now is we basically go to the locker room after the steam experience, and one of the swimmers,
Gage,
thank you, he's the one who encounters one of these fishmen looking dudes, and Buffy hears him scream and goes in to save him. And what she realizes when she's there with him is that Gage himself is tormented, and he starts pulling off his clothes, and then he starts pulling off his skin, and then it reveals that he's he is also one of the fish things or whatever, and the fish thing is coming out from him. And a reasonably creepy scene. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty campy. It's Buffy. It's never going to be Marvel Cinematic Universe level CGI or anything. But in the grand scheme of things, I thought that it was reasonably well executed.
No, yeah. So let's talk about what's happening. There is no sea monster that's coming to get them. These fellows are being turned into these creatures.
Exactly.
And they look just like the creature from the Black Lagoon, right? They look just like it. And so as far as that goes, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't watch the creature from the Black Lagoon, just like I can't watch the zombie, the old Mummy movies, right? It's like a hard thing. I mean, I could watch it, but it's hard for you to get yourself into the mindset because of how it looks. It doesn't hold up, right? But when trying to imitate that, it does a fantastic job of imitating the look, and the transformation scene is pretty darn good. It's not American Werewolf in London good, but the pulling of his skin, great. His holding up the wrist and showing that through the wrist is another hand coming out. I thought that was all done very well. The shots were cropped and cut at the right times, and it gave you a sense that he was in this agony. And you're now seeing what you didn't see before. You only ever saw the after effect of.
Right.
And then like how is Buffy gonna fight these two sea monsters? And I had this whole thought process watching it, like, do they really have to do karate for every monster? And it really wasn't that. But I'm like, that we make jokes about how when you become a vampire, kung fu and karate and jujitsu and all that. It's just like how are you gonna fight that? So she
Sure.
begins to fight these guys off in the locker room. And I think then there's a cut right to the steam room, and that's where, as you mentioned, Xander is in the steam room with the swimmers, and he's the only one chatting, which is so Xander. Uncomfortable. He's never really around a lot of guys besides Jesse in like the first few episodes. He doesn't have like a guy friend. He's
Right.
only Giles. So he's there talking, and he's like, hey, finding out that there's this, the inside the steam room, what's being pumped, what to get the steroids, the juice that's going to help them be better, stronger, fitter.
Mhm.
It's actually going into them through the air,
Yep, through
in
the
the
steam.
sonic steam. And Xander's inhaling it as they speak, which he's unwitting. He doesn't realize that he could become a monster. I don't know anyone that does that. So what you find out is that this is the grand scheme of this coach, and along with the coach, the nurse.
The nurse.
In on this as well.
Mhm.
Not the principal.
Okay, so I got to pause here and say that this is probably the most preposterous. I mean, there's a lot of preposterous stuff in Buffy, right?
Right.
But the idea that this high school swim coach would be enough of a geneticist to be able to like splice fish DNA into his athletes,
Yeah.
based on reading a Russian paper.
Yeah. Yeah, like what are you doing coaching at a public school? Swim team? Like,
Right.
yeah, you should be doing some research in some lab somewhere.
Yeah, there's got to be some Breaking Bad kind of stuff going on around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, but that's not what bothered me about this episode. What bothered me about the episode had to do with the sexual politics, the
of course.
the imbalances of it, right? I think the sort of like attempt to be like forward thinking about it, but it still lands like really backward, awkward. I don't think correctly.
And
then
one of the worst scenes is coming up here in just a second too, in my opinion. So what
let's
happens
get
is
to it.
the coach tosses the nurse when she tries to rebel against him. He tosses her in the sewer with the boys.
Yeah.
The boys, and it's implied that the boys eat her. We don't actually see that, thank God.
So is the nurse is there a connection to the gym and the sewer of the town? Like, I mean, is that I couldn't place what was happening.
It looks like it, but I gotta be honest. I feel like this was probably just a expediency issue as opposed to really thinking through the architecture of the town, because what's supposed to be under the school is the Hellmouth, not the sewer.
Exactly. Right. So, but it was it's sort of a weird thing to think that you have access to this place. Again, not actually what bothers me, but yeah. So the boy.
Okay. So the boy. We know the boys are in the sewer. We know that they just ate. Buffy now knows that the coach is responsible for all of this because Xander comes back and gives her the information about the steroids being in the steam room. And so now Buffy goes to confront the coach. And somehow or another, I don't remember exactly how it happened, the coach manages to toss her into the sewer with them. What happened? Gun.
Gunpoint.
Okay, great. So he gets her in the sewer, and he goes, "Are you just going to leave me in here for them to eat me?" And he's like, "No, but boys have other needs." And Buffy makes the comment, "Great, that's going to be great for my reputation when everyone hears that I did it with the whole swim team." Okay, so this is probably the worst moment in the entire episode for all the stuff that you're talking about right now. Because as opposed to, Buffy, I don't know. Usually I think of Buffy as being really good for strong female characters, for women's rights, for for turning flipping the script in terms of um we're Buffy generally is not about the sexuality of it. It's about taking a young female seriously, you
Right.
know? And and this whole episode, I feel like it takes a step backward.
Yeah, a step. It might be more than that, but yeah, I agree with you. And this is I mean, I mean, it's like funny. It's sort of a funny line, like the quirky one-liners that you get from
Yeah,
Buffy,
sure.
but it's cringe. It's definitely cringe-worthy. Um, yeah, yeah, okay, okay,
So
and
then it's balanced a little bit with a very sweet scene between Cordelia and Xander that comes up where they're worried that Xander has inhaled too much of the steam, and he walks away for a minute, and then one of the sea creatures basically jumps in the water, and Cordelia sees that it's one of the sea creatures, and she thinks that it's Xander, and so then she starts doing her monologue about how she'll still love him even though he's a sea monster or whatever, and
it's very sweet.
it's
It's very
yes,
sweet. Yeah,
it's the sweetest thing I've seen from Cordelia ever at this
yeah,
point,
yep.
right? Um,
And Xander walks up
and
and is like, "Wait, that's not me. That's a monster."
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um,
Yeah, and like, and I think Xander saves Buffy, which is another sort of blow. Um, because Buffy reverses the final girl trope a lot of times where, or well, that the trope where a man saves a woman, I should say. Right.
yes, yes,
And all the time, but now Xander saves her. And before the coach is knocked out, so that's before that happens. And now there's a big sort of fight between the coach and Buffy, and the coach ends up tumbling down into the sewer. And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
you know, he's fed his own medicine, if you will.
yeah, 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 yeah. The specific line is from Buffy is, "Those boys surely love their coach," which implies other things happen. So in a way, it does that's how much energy it gives to trying to flip the problematic sexual
Right.
stuff, you know.
So what it happens at the end of the day is the fully transformed monsters, they escape to the ocean. So one more time, we're like, oh, this is going to come back at some point in the world.
Sure.
And then the students like Xander who've been exposed are given treatments. They don't really go into that, but this treatment's going to reverse the effects of
Yeah.
this mutagen, as they call it.
Right.
And there we are. We end the show, right? It's like, that's it. Sort of strange. Um, and as I was talking about those metaphors of like the drugs, I read
Yeah.
a criticism that said that, like the drugs are bad. This comes, I guess it's Roger Pocock, who talks about how like drugs are bad is not enough. They need to say like, because, right? Because if you're left with drugs are bad as your overarching story, like you either have a yes or a no, like you can argue it. But like, I guess what it's saying is like, you'll turn into this monster or whatever, but
Yeah.
it kind of leaves a lot to be desired in terms of saying
Yeah.
more about the drugs,
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot about the sexual stuff. Yeah. I mean, um, it's almost like in terms of the narrative structure of all of Buffy, it was a big breather before we hop into the final two. The
Yeah. I
the
mean, this. So, in fairness to this episode, it had a lot to live up to between "I Only Have Eyes for You" and "What's Coming," which are both so much higher level work that this one it's difficult. It's really difficult to take seriously, and it squashed in between the stuff, even though it is a little bit of a breather. Um, but I do think that I okay. So getting back to what I think they're trying to say here metaphorically, I think they're trying to say something about high school athletes and elites in high school. And I think the reason that we have all of this sexual gobbledygook is because they're trying to say something about they're trying to say something about how these elites feel that they deserve to be able to treat people any way that they want to, you know. And I have to say that when I was in high school, and even as a college professor, sometimes I see this, that the athletes definitely have a tendency to think that the rules don't apply to them. And I think that that's really what they were trying to get at here. It's just that rather than hanging a lantern on the rules, these people think the rules don't apply to them and they need to get their own comeuppance. They sort of glossed over some of that stuff in favor of the funny that could be had from driving up the sexual moments.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I think it's the same with our politicians and a lot of stuff we've seen in the media
Sure.
over the course of the past however many years, or maybe America's politicians, period. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I don't know what to say about it all because there's a lot to be said about if you treat people like they can get away with anything. At some point, maybe they'll
Try.
be that. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's the greater drug than the steroid mutagen drug metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about the next couple, and I know you are.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Where we go from here? What's the next episode called?
I believe it's Becoming Part 1. Is that right?
That's right, Becoming. Part 1 and 2. Not to give anything away, rewatchers, those who watch the rewatchers. Not to give anything away, but my 10-year-old said it was sad.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
she goes, "This is very sad, Daddy."
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be.
Fans are happier when Buffy is sad, I told her. Tends to be that way. So
Yeah, it's true.
But you don't have to be sad, darling. You don't have to be sad. Anyway, so all right, man. Any other final words?
No, man, I think that's it. Okay, one last idea.
Yeah.
I was disappointed I didn't see much of Oz in this one.
He's actually out for a while because after having watched Becoming the 2 episodes, there's a moment where he shows up and Ruby goes, "Who's that?" And one of the things he says when he shows up, I'm not going to give away the narrative. One thing he says shows up is like, I've been kind of gone, or I've been kind of out, or like I missed a lot. It's just a dropped in line. Yeah. So Ruby hasn't been watching all of season 2. She watched, because she caught me watching this, right? So
sure.
Who's that? So, all right, well, let's get back to it.
All right, sounds good, man. Sounds good. Okay, well, next week.
Take care, everybody.